Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. If you're new to this channel, Wixo is basically where a nation starts off like in some place, and eventually they conquer, fall apart, and the world becomes filled with new nations, all that jazz. That's just a slight introduction to Wixo, but before we get into that, please consider liking and subscribing as it means a lot. And yeah, let's start the video. And now over here, we're actually going to start to see the first tribal people start to have the idea of civilization. And so they're going to start to form the first of 4 cities, towns, and eventually settlements. As this tribe will eventually just start to stay stationary and build the first permanent houses, as they will not really send much explorers. After probably 4,000 years of farming, the first civilization will actually start to pop up here. And of course, this would probably be an aristocracy, and so they're going to kind of start to form all around this lake. And they kind of have the idea of just becoming the world government. But eventually, we're going to go down here, and a protest is actually going to start to occur. Farmers will refuse to collect taxes, and over here, it will be known as the Beer Rebellion, as since they grow wheat, a large portion of it is turned into beer, and so they were actually going to tax the people who make the beer because they're wasting a lot of food on just drink and alcohol. So these people, they are going to just expand, as many of the farmers are actually going to go to the gates of the capital city and take it, while the aristocrats are going to survive on these 2 islands until they will actually get people to rebel in the capital. And this will kind of start to be the end for the Beer Rebellion, as even their original portions will start to fall, and after that, they're going to be left over here. And so a few hundred people, they're going to start to run away all across the mountains. Eventually, they're going to find an area a lot more fertile than the lake. And eventually, they're going to find the Caspian Sea. They're going to head south where it's getting more fertile. And we're going to see them discover this entire region, where eventually about here, we're going to finally see them decide to settle down and to form, I guess, an empire. Over here, 84 people will make it back, or will make it to the new area where they're going to form civilization. And this is going to be a farming settlement, but they have great aspirations of one day coming back to the homeland and getting rid of the aristocrats. As over here, we're going to see them basically take this region, and finally, we're going to see them actually fracture into tons of little states. As over here, the 4 aristocrats will not be able to agree after they try to elect one of them to be the leader of their nation. Since they cannot agree, we're actually going to see them each split off and form their own nation, with the main aristocrat kind of still being over here and having their, big cities. Yeah, they don't have too much food, and so a large portion of their population is going to start to starve. But don't worry, they will maybe eventually reunify, I don't know. With the food shortage all around the civilized world, we're going to see a large portion from all these nations start to go out on a voyage. Or not a voyage, I guess an exploration. And they're going to find another lake. But they want to avoid the problems found with the aristocracy and let one man rule. And so they will explore this entire lake. Right here, we're going to see a nation form. As over here, the blue dictatorship will form. As, they're actually not the harshest dictatorship, as they're also going to encapsulate both of these lakes, and, even start to link up with the river, where the majority of their population will actually start to reside. As these areas are actually going to get pretty abandoned, and so, non-coastal areas, they basically have no one. Going back to Tron, many tribal people will actually finally start to learn about agriculture from them. And so they're going to continue to be able to explore with their large population boost, as this area had tons of tribes people. And so much of the southern Caspian is going to start to be explored by Tehran. as these people will actually tell them all about the terrain of the area, and the empires, or the nation, is probably about to go on an expansion spree. As over here, Tehran will expand massively, as they actually decide they want to re-find their homeland and conquer it to bring good to the world. And so they're going to go on an expedition this way, because they know it's this way, but this area is probably forgotten by now, I would say. They probably know that they went this way somewhat, and they probably know they came up from here, but they don't remember the path they took. For all they know, there could be a lake right here. And so going back over here, we're going to see them come over on this side and eventually reach the Mint team. And they're going to learn about the collapse that was brought up upon their land, and they realize this is way too far at their current technology. So they will let their aspirations kind of go away for the next few hundred years, but they decide they want to conquer all of Persia. Over here, the four, I guess, probably aristocracies will continue to do exploration along here, discovering this river, as they want to be able to prepare themselves for Persia if they eventually do come back with a military force. So after exploring this region, they're going to discover more and start to trade with Persia a lot. As much as this northern region, kind of getting close to Azerbaijan, will start to be discovered. As eventually, this is what will start to be known about across the known world, as they're mainly adapted to survive the mountainous environments, while this dictatorship, they're kind of following the river this way, as this is what they know about. So let's look at all the nations that will start to form all across, I guess, Iran or the Zazuran Mountains. Well, these will be the nations kind of established after the big exploration. As this nation, I need to kind of get familiar with these two lakes. This nation will start to expand out west, kind of like the US, getting this lake and starting to follow this river. While this area really hasn't been settled, or even outposts, really. Maybe an outpost on this lake with probably like 10 people. But over here, we're going to see the cyan and pink team form, so will this olive nation. As all these nations will start to expand, while this nation's going to start to get outcompeted. As the original nation, let me find this lake on Google Maps. While the original Lake Urmia nation will start to expand this way, and even finally come in contact with the Cognate of Iran as the original settlers here. The race, I guess, the ethnicity of this area has been completely eradicated, basically, as interbreeding and all that kind of leads to the tribalness, or the tribal culture and ethnicity of the people of this original area will take charge, but they still do have the goal of taking back the homeland. As over here, a vassal state will be established, as these two are now starting to come into common clashes. As, one day, we may see, wrongs thing. One day, this area could start to be captured. And then, skirmishes will kind of start to continue all across here, as both nations will try to, get the upper hand. But since this is very mountainous terrain, none will be able to do so. And for the last two events of this episode, we're actually going to see continued exploration all across the known world, as this nation is going to continue to follow the rivers, all just trying to get more area to kind of settle, as they're going to kind of find this, kind of plateauish area in the northern regions of Mesopotamia, which could be a great place for people to settle. Over here, the southern Urmian nation will also go down south, hoping to find land just as good as Mesopotamia, which they're going to come up with basically no luck. And this makes a lot of people kind of sad in the nation because they wasted so many of their resources just for nothing to happen. In the north here, we're going to continue to see them discovering these green, fertile areas, and even this lake over here, as they discover that this is kind of a place where two rivers intersect, which would be a great place for farming. While we're actually also going to go over to Turan for a bit, as they're going to continue just to explore all around the Caspian, as they have really great boats, because this is the only place that can really use boats efficiently. Like, I'm sure, crossing this, because they kind of control this area, is happening a lot. They're going to discover this area, continuing to go up north across the Caspian, while the people who explore down south are going to tell them of promising lands, which can maybe even eventually be farmed on. As, let's look at all the nations that will start to form. And over here now, we finally have all the nations after the great explorations finally established. We see across the dictatorship of Bengalu, and even expanding into northern Syria, we will see them get two vassal states as the expansionist area. They are probably the hegemon of an area kind of looking something along the lines of this. They are the hegemon of this area. The undisputed rulers, as some people even start to say, may even expand into this region. But it is greatly debated, because another of the rising empires of the original nation will start to expand all across here, starting to even question the dominance of the dictatorship, as both of these are starting to compete for influence in areas such as the Pink Team and the Cyan Team, as both want to get an upper hand upon one another. While down here, these nations are completely outcompeted and are just pawns to both of the empires. As going up here into, Turan, they have become greatly more powerful after the conquest, getting all the fertile land in the lower Caspian. As a subgroup of the Azerbaijani people will also break away. They will start to now refocus their ambitions on conquering the great nation in the homeland, in hopes of conquering the entire world into Iran. We're going to see the original Urmian nation around Lake Urmia start to invade this olive nation. It's going to go really successfully. They're going to fold really easily, and in the treaty, just full annexation. And now every country has a capital city, like Urmia has theirs right here. Northern Urmia actually doesn't have theirs on the lake. And every single nation now has a capital. Now if we look at the city layer, we can see that there's different levels of cities. Like this is the highest, then they get smaller and smaller until these are basically just villages. For our next event, we're going to go to the dictatorship of Bangulu, and we are going to start to see them send some scouts out, as they're going to continue to follow this river until eventually they're going to meet up with the Mediterranean Sea. They kind of realize that this is a better region for farming, as they're going to continue to follow the coast across here, and even explore regions north of Bangulu, as I guess they even get into regions like the Caucasus and Georgia, and other regions along here as they meet up with the Black Sea. Over here, Bangulu will claim these two regions, making themselves very, very big, as their capital is now in the far eastern regions of their empire, making it kind of hard to actually control areas like over here in Antioch. But that's going to be a problem for them later, as right now we're going to go to Turan. As over here, Turan will continue to send explorers out, making a lot more progress than normally, actually reaching this river here, as they're going to start to follow the river until they realize it starts to go into a region with a lot more rivers. And eventually they're going to discover Sumer, most of Mesopotamia here, as the explorers continue to go up all around here, reaching this lake, and eventually reaching probably back up with this gray team over here as an exploration. It lasted probably about 6 years, and they discovered all of Mesopotamia and Sumer, and even more regions in Iran. As over here, the great empire of Turan will annex all this land and will even start to encroach on the newly discovered fertile Mesopotamian land. While with the discovery of all this land, tons of nations are now going to start to be racing to claim a lot of it. Let's see all the new nations and claims that will be formed up. And now over here, these will be all the lands to be claimed by nations all across Mesopotamia. As we see the two most powerful nations being formed is Babylon and Ur, as both of them are commonly having clashes across the river, trying to gain dominance and to eventually unite all of Mesopotamia under Babylon and Ur. Going over here, Tehran will start to realize that no one's going to really compete with them in these dry, unfertile areas. They're now starting to focus on these rivers down in Mesopotamia, which has been fully claimed. So with little to no opposition besides in Urmia, they're going to annex all of this, which will also cut off Urmia from expanding, as they are now boxed in, only being able to expand in this tiny little area. Over here, we're going to see explorers continue to explore the Caucasus, but not really being able to make it past the Caucasus Mountains, so they are going to be able to go in them, but kind of not down them, as people who kind of go over there, they cannot come back. Besides one individual who came over here and was able to come back because the Caucasus Mountains does not go all the way over to Azerbaijan. Down here, more explorers will start to explore the Levant, even getting into Israel and other areas, as they eventually will kind of stop around the Sinai Peninsula, as they're going to return back and start to tell people this land is also fertile, as more people want to go past the Sinai Desert, but it is really harsh, so that's basically unfeasible at this current moment. Over here, we're going to see the Kingdom of Israel form. The kingdom now has great aspirations to take all of the Levant, and even to start to attack the oppressors over here, as they feel like this should be an independent area away from the government, focused all the way over here in Bangulu. Over here in Georgia, we're going to see the Duchy of Georgia actually form, as they're pretty powerful, but they're pretty scared, as Bangulu does seem like they want to reach the Black Sea and to cut off this entire area over here. While over here, the expansion fanatic in Armenia decides that they kind of want to take this entire area to be safe from raiders that keep on raiding their territory, who live up here. But the leader of Argentina will not be able to reach that goal, as the raiders, saying that Armenia is soon to expand in their area, will actually form the Raider Kingdom. This is going to make Armenia really mad, so they're actually going to try to invade the kingdom over here. And it's going to go good up until they about reach the river right here. And this is when the raiders will do what they do best. They will raid, as they're going to start to flank them from both sides and encircle about a few hundred troops here and kick them out of their territory, as they will now go on the offensive, as they're going to take all of these areas, as they are now going to start to spearhead down to the capital city. And they're going to reach the gates, take the city, as this entire area will surrender, while Armenia will be forced to reside right here, where they will sign a treaty with the Raider Kingdom. Well, in the treaty, the raiders will take the main populated areas of Armenia, as Armenia will now force to be resided in these higher, less agricultural productive areas. As over here, we're actually going to see something pretty interesting. As over here, the raiders are going to abandon all their land in the Caucasus Mountains, as they were really had no point of living there anymore, as they now have all these more fertile lands, as they will still raid, but now they're also doing a lot more agriculture, as even they are going to start to skirmish against Urmia and take the rest of this lake without a war actually starting. While over here in Israel, they've been a lot more productive, actually taking a lot of these regions up north, as they are starting to become a highly populated nation. As going over here to Mesopotamia, we will actually see them, though recently formed. All of these Mesopotamian nations will have a higher population than the entire Urmian nation, region. So let me show you what that would look like. In this area, it kind of looks something like this, and this is where civilization originally started. And some people do want to consider at least this region of Bangalo to be in Urmia, but many people are considered its own region and actually closer to Assyria, which is a sub-region of the greater Mesopotamian region. Well, going over here, we're going to see the Bangalo explorers who were once there start to explore Cyprus and many regions in southern Anatolia, as in their turnaround mission, they're going to get to the rest of this area, as we can see how they're actually going to start to claim some of these areas, as this may be the biggest exploration ever sent out. And over here, these are all the nations that will be formed, but you're probably wondering, why are they so big? Like, shouldn't these be the average size? if not smaller. And this is because a lot of these are just heavily underpopulated. Like this area, they may claim all of this, which they probably do, but in all honesty, they probably only have population like right here, maybe going up here, and perhaps maybe right here, and just not really anything down here. And so we could actually see this lead to fracturing later down the line, or maybe one big Anatolian nation. But we're just gonna have to wait. Over here, Dictator Yusuf of Bangulu will actually start to bring an army, and he will not tell the army where they are going. He will continue the trek for many months, even starting to go into the western provinces of his empire, and eventually they will reach the port of Antioch. From the port of Antioch, he will do the largest naval invasion ever commanded, and he will start the invasion of northern Cyprus, and he will see great success until Yusuf will arrive down here. Right here in a battle for their capital, Yusuf will be killed, and so will his entire army. And now the dictator is dead and no one knows, as northern Cyprus will actually keep fully quiet about them repelling the great force. And going back over to Bangulu, people will see that he has not returned, nor no one knows what happened to him. And so, a crisis will start. At the end of last video, we saw Dictator Yusuf try to invade northern Cyprus, which was a complete and utter disaster, with most of his army being completely killed, and so was he. Finally, after 3 years, a diplomat from northern Cyprus will eventually tell Bangulu what happened, and he will be promptly executed. Eventually, the news will get leaked to the public, and now they are deeply worried because they do not have a leader. Taking advantage of the power vacuum, the governor of the province of Hitilia will leave Bangulu and decide to form his own nation. But then Hitilia will actually start to invade Bangulu, as they're going to cut the Mediterranean region off, as they are going to encircle the great port of Antioch, as down here they're going to be able to take the rest of this with relative ease. Over here we're going to continue to see resounding success by Hitilia, meeting up with this Assyrian state, as they're going to encircle these areas with barely any population. As Hitilia will continue to see great success meeting up to this river, we will see the greatest generals still alive hold their front, trying to not fall back past the river. As over here, General Bakheb will decide to go on the offensive, trying to get a better position, as we're going to see him have great success, as the Hitilian armies will eventually see a massive flaw with Bakheb's spearhead push, as they're going to flank him and start to encircle him and his entire army of 800 men. As over here, a general that has been quickly rising to fame is going to continue to massacre these areas, getting past the river, as he's going to do a big encirclement push, leading into Bakheb being doubly encircled, as now we will finally see Bakheb surrender and his entire army, as now the gates are open, as the Lake of Angalu seems to be in sight. While in the capital, they will elect Bakheb's son, Bakheb II, to be their dictator, as he will set up a defensive position along this river to hope to stop the Hitilian army. While over here, these cities will finally surrender, as Antioch will now be limited just to their capital gates. While over here, the famous General Yemek, with the largest force in human history of 6,500 men, as Yemek will be on the river, staring Bakheb in the eye, as we will see Yemek charge his force, massacring the 2,000 men force Bakheb II had, with Bakheb fleeing back to the capital gates. As now the Hitilian forces will reach the Lake of Angalu, as Bakheb II, by his people, will start being called Bakhet II, meaning gate, as he has fled to the gates of the city, and he is deeply unpopular. While over here, the second greatest general of Hitilia will go to the Syrian vassal state and tell them, "You are now free," as the former vassal will start to send some of their own troops up to the main fight for Bangulu. While over here, Yemek will surround the capital gates, as Bakheb will kill himself, and they will take the city, as now Bangulu is just in their northern mountainous regions. While going to the northernmost territories of Angalu, Amek will cut them off from their coast, and after a few more years of fighting, these lakes, rivers will be captured. We will eventually see Angalu agree to peace, and let's look at the treaty. While in the treaty, Hitilia will greatly expand, and even going to the Lake of Angalu, we will see multiple principalities and duchy states control the areas, as the original state of Angalu will be split up in the north into two new states. We will see the Kingdom of Ban and the Duchy of Galu. While going into the Assyrian portions, we will see many new duchies be formed, with the vassal states being granted independence, as we will even see a duchy state of Hitilia will be formed. While going over here to Tehran, we will start to see them go through a stabilization phase, with them still sending some explorers out to explore Persia to gain more power, but not as many as they used to. We will actually continue to see them mainly focus on Central Asia, as they have not explored this land in a few thousand years. And so let's look at the land that was explored. While over here, we will see the Cognate of Tehran continue to explore these areas, as because they are in a stabilization phase, they will only take these two portions of the land they explored, still greatly increasing the size of their nation, as they are the global hegemon. While over in Tehran, we will see the army continuously building up, as they will become the second largest army with 5,500 men. While going over here to Urmia, we will see the original nation on Earth, which will be known as Eastern Urmia, invade Northern Urmia, and then they will invade Western Urmia, as Southern Urmia will just surrender before the forces come, as Urmia will reunite all of Lake Urmia. And let's look at a treaty. Once again, restore its glory, taking all of Lake Urmia, and finally starting the Urmian Golden Age, as all of the nations except South Urmia will be fully annexed, as South Urmia will just become a vassal state. While now across the world, we are going to continuously see overuse of farmland, as nutrients will not be able to be replenished, and so we're going to see many explorers here of a land westwards, which has fertile land and a lot more timber. And so we're going to start to see mainly the nation of Lydia start to send explorers out this way, as they want to quickly run into the first forests ever seen by the civilized world. While going over to Cyprus, we are going to see them fund voyages across the Mediterranean Sea. Eventually, they're going to run into the mountainous island of Crete, but they will return back, and the Emperor of Cyprus will tell them to continue. As we see on the second voyage, they will discover a lot of lands in Greece, as they are going to return once more to spread the news. And we are going to see him fund the most massive voyage yet. As in the voyage to find the supposed land, all of Peloponnesia will be discovered, more lands in Greece, including Macedonia, as eventually they are going to link up with explorers found from Lydia, as all of Anatolia will be discovered, as they're going to finally get a connection between Greece and Anatolia. While Lydian explorers seeing all of these forested areas, they're going to continue to explore, as they will name this new area Bulgaris. As eventually the name will also spread to Greece and Peloponnesia, as people are going to start to call this new continent Bulgaris. As by the time this is all over, hundreds of explorers have died from tribal conflicts running into each other, and the biggest one, starvation. While over here we're going to see tons of nations expand, and new nations be settled by explorers all across the Aegean. And these will be the nations settled by the Great Settlementation, as Cyprus will get all of Peloponnesia and Crete, while over here in Rhodes they will get Mycenaeans in the southern Aegean islands, while the Red Aegean nation will get all of these islands but a big outpost on the mainland. While these Greco-Albanian nations will become very rich from selling timber to Anatolia, and Anatolia will then start to sell it to Italia, Urmia, and eventually making its way to Tehran for a great sum of money, causing what will be known as the Timber Road to start to form across the civilized world. While over here in the main region of Bulgaris, no nation will be able to settle here, as these tribes are very, very hostile towards people. And for our second to last event of today's episode, we are going to see Israeli explorers start to go into Egypt, as they will discover the northern Nile River Delta, as they will continue down the river, as they will find the most fertile land yet, as over here they will not be able to go down as there's a steep drop, so the ships will have to return back up and eventually to Israel, where they will tell the nation about this great fertile land. As over here in Egypt, due to the great fertile land, we are going to quickly see villages spring up across the delta, which will eventually turn into towns, then cities, as even going down to Middle Egypt, we will see these civilizations form, as Israel will even start to get on the action, as this will become the most agricultural productive region in the world, causing Israel to have a great economic boom, as they will even start to sell some of the grain to Italia, as this is one of the only regions on Earth besides in Bulgaris where the farmland has not been incredibly used up. And for our second to last event, I guess officially, we're going to see this nation over here expand, even encompassing some of these areas in mainland Albania. And for our second to last event, we will see the great Turanian army invade Ur, and now Babylon thinks they are safe, but they are not. As over here, this nation will surrender, and we will get to see the new age of Turan, as Turan will become an expansionist nation. And in the treaty, all the nations invaded will be fully annexed into Turan, as Turan will make a second capital, which is administratively to control the region of Sumer. And well, their expansion will not be slowing down, as over here we are going to see the king of Turan decide to invade the third strongest nation on Earth, Urmia. As in the south, Irash will continue to have great success, not being able to be stopped by the troops of Urmia, being able to even cut this area off. While over in the vassal state, we are going to see General Darmius starting a smaller offensive, trying to reach up with Lake Urmia. While in the south, Irash will continue to have great success until he will start to be pushed back by none other than Pope Quatmis, as he will continue to see great success, killing most of Irash's troops, as they will be greatly demoralized, as we're going to start to see them start a flank and trying to encircle their troops. While over here, Darmius will link up with Lake Urmia, as he's going to now start an assault to Pope Quatmis, as the attack will catch the Pope by surprise, while Irash will be able to link up with Darmius. But on a hill on 2002 BC, we will see Pope Quatmis do what will be known as the Urmic Miracle, starting to push both Darmius and Irash back, splitting his forces into two, as some will say he will physically himself split into two, as we will see Irash be encircled, as Darmius will have to start to retreat back to his vassal state, while over here Cardinal Feb will continue to liberate much of the occupied areas, as Irash will be defeated in the encirclement, as he will be promptly executed. And now the tides have changed, as Urmia looks to be like they are about to go on the offensive, as Pope Quatmis will declare a crusade against Turan, as many nations will answer the call to arms, including many duchies, the Central Assyrian nations, and the duchies around the Lake of Ingalu. As over here in the vassal state, Pope Quatmis will continue to invade, as Darius will be forced to retreat out of the vassal state, as Darmius will start to garrison in Turan. As over here, Feb will start to invade the regional capital of Sumer to try to get the area to revolt, as he hopes of freeing the land and converting them to the religion. As after a grueling 3-year siege, the capital will fall, as they will start to invade the lands of the once great nation of Babylon. As over here, Pope Quatmis will start to get near Turan, as he will start to besiege the city with the help of thousands of troops from the Crusaders. Surrounding cities and villages will fall, as there seems to be no hope left, as Feb will continue to see no resistance until he reaches the province of Ur, which he will not be able to invade, as most of his invading forces will be repelled, as in the battle for the city of Ur, his entire army and himself will die. As over here, Pope Quatmis will take the city of Turan, and then will execute Darmus, as he has taken the most powerful city in the world. While over in Sumer, Urmia will continue to be repelled, as Urmia will be cut off from Babylon, as we are going to see the siege of the fourth most populated city in the world, where the troops will continue to hold out until after them being starved, they will finally surrender under a condition that they will get to not be executed and can live as slaves. While over here the North will fall, but over here in the capital of Ermic, a private plan between the Pope and the generals will be leaked to the entire Crusaders. On the stone tablet, it will say Pope Quatmus rigged the Pope election, getting himself in charge when a different cardinal was supposed to be the new Pope. As over here, we will see the Crusaders do something never seen before. They will switch on the crusade and decide to crusade against Urmia to get the heretic out of power. As over here, Hitilia, Litis, Trebizond, Georgia, and this brown Anatolian nation will join the counter-crusade as they want to make their religion holy again. While over here, Crusader troops will start to rise up in support of Turan, as even people close to the Pope will start to rebel against him, as they will encircle the Pope, as Turan will fall back to Turanian hands, as even troops garrisoning this northern region will start to rebel, as eventually we can see the entire northern region following back to the Crusaders, while over here Pope Quatmus will see a quick relievement army, which his only goal is to evacuate the Pope from the region, as the Pope will retreat back to Ermic, while in the north of Turan, Yarmar and the Crusaders will kick Urmia out as they will restart the invasion of Urmia, linking up with the lake as they are going to reach the princedom as they will continue splitting them into two, while over here the Crusaders will switch sides, decide to help Yarmar as the region over here will start to be encircled. While looking at the Crusader armies, they will have occupied all of West Urmia, as they are also going to link up with Yarmar, encircling the capital of Ermic. As over here, the city will start to be starved for food, while the south will surrender, and in the battle, Ermic will be captured, and Pope Quatmus will be executed, as we finally see the Great War of the Crusades will finally end. And let's take a look at the treaty. While in the treaty, Urmia will be left as a small state, not even encapsulating the entire lake, as the Scian nation will get a lot of Western Urmia, as in the south, we will see South Urmia return, as the princedom will gain independence, as this duchy will be freed under one condition, that it has to swear loyalty to Turan, as now Turan has proven itself to be able to come back from a time of crises and to even win the war entirely, destroying their arch nemesis of Urmia, making them a weak, small nation. While going over here to Bulgaris, we're going to see continued exploration trying to find new and more timberous lands, as we will see them entirely discover the South Danube, as we are going to see them go into modern-day Serbia and eventually Hungary, as they will return finding tons of riches and new lands to build on. While going over to Bulgaris, we're going to see that ever since Litis took over Thracia, the Thracian tribes were expelled, and so a young boy named Chimer will grow up learning to hate Litis and all the new nations, so eventually he decides the only way to beat the enemy is to become your own enemy. As a young man, he will start to go around all the tribes in his area, and he will eventually, over many years, he will unite them all into a tribal empire, as he even claimed himself to be the emperor of the entire continent of Bulgaris. As across the new lands, we're going to see many tribes start to settle down into large tribal conglomerate nations, which will eventually probably break apart, as we will even see some start to become full-on stable duchies, like over here in North Macedonia. But over here in Montenegro, they will split into three to be able to settle down easier. While over here, this Mediterranean Republic will start to send their own explorers out, as they're going to discover most of South Italy and finding this new land. As over here, this northern Albanian nation will also start to send some explorers out, discovering a lot of the Adriatic coast, even going up into Istria, where they will come back down and start to tell the world about these new lands, as even areas such as Syracuse will be discovered. As in the new areas of Italy, we're going to see these small little duchies form, even this one in Syracuse, which will become a pretty big Grand Duchy, as it will encompass the entire eastern portion of the island, while this Albanian nation will set up a colony in Italy and across the Adriatic. While over here in Tehran, being funded by the Great Urmian Treasury, they will continue their rampage of exploring tons of Iranian territories, even going more into Central Asia, as two massive swaths of territory will be discovered by the Great Iranian Expeditionary Force. As over here, Tehran will annex this massive swath of territory, making them probably double, if not triple the size of Hittilia, the second largest nation. As over here, for the last event, people from the west will start to arrive on ships and land on the shores, where they will start to raid the Anatolian nations, even starting to collapse many of them, as even Rhodes and Cyprus are not safe, as these raids will continue to decimate Cyprus, as the biggest city in Hittilia, Antioch, will be raided, as they will even go into Assyria, as even northern Egypt and lands in Israel such as Judea and the Phoenician areas will completely be raided and decimated, as after the Great Raids, which will mark the end of the Copper Age, we will see, especially in Anatolia, tons of new duchies be formed. As going over here to Israel, they will be completely balkanized, as they will be split up into 5 states. But in Egypt, the opposite will happen, as King Khufu from the northern nation of Egypt will unite most of Egypt into the new Egyptian kingdom, while over here Cyprus will lose most of its colonies, as over here Rhodes will lose Mycenae, as the only country that did not lose all its colonies was Aegea. After the great raids, especially in Lower Anatolia, there will be great fascination on who were these people, where are they, and how can we get our revenge for completely decimating civilization. As thank you all for watching, and see you guys in episode 5. Bye-bye. Hey guys, Editor Unknown Geography here, and it is currently 4:27 a.m. and I have a dentist's appointment in like 4 hours, but the reason this episode took so long is it took 4 attempts. The first one was pure black, the second one had horrible audio quality, so did the third, and this one is finally decent enough to be able to be edited into a full-length video. Hey guys, Editor Unknown Geography here, and this episode was really fun to record actually. This episode was based off the Bronze Age collapse, but I decided how about we do the Copper Age collapse, to kind of shake it up a bit. I'm currently editing the video only one day after episode 3 came out, so this is why the episode is coming out pretty soon. I actually like recording these editor notes, so if there's not an end credit scene, I'm going to put an editor's note hopefully in every single one of the episodes, as it kind of gets a behind-the-scenes look of these episodes, and this episode was a pain to edit, but I got it done in about 3 hours, so not the worst thing on earth. I do not know when the next episode will come out after this, but hopefully it will come out in around 3 days, maybe a bit later, or hopefully earlier, to be honest. Hey guys, Editor Unknown Geography here. This video took about 15 minutes to edit, so not long at all. I just did it so I could have a video ready in less than a day, as this is actually being made before episode 4 has came out. This was not fun to really make at all, it just was boring to make, but I still thought this should get an editor's note, as I want to treat this as a full-length video and not a lesser project. And if anyone is still watching to this point, type in the comments below the neutral face emoji, and bye-bye.